And we are back to the special fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this podcast, we are going to be talking about, in my opinion, MVPs who didn't really deserve to win the MVP over a certain player. Now, again, I mentioned this before in the last segment. This isn't me talking down on some of these players and their season. This is me just shedding light on some other players who I thought had a better season but didn't get rewarded for the season that they've had because they didn't end up coming out with the MVP. So first on this list is we're going to go really, really old, back in the day where I wasn't even alive, and we're going to go with Wes Unseld winning the MVP for Baltimore, the Wizards at the time, and him robbing the MVP over a player like Willis Reed. And the reason why Wes Unseld sort of won that award over someone like Willis Reed was because I believe this was his rookie season, and this was Wes Unseld's rookie season, and this was the first, once he arrived to the Bullets roster, because they were called the Baltimore Bullets at the time, they ended up becoming better. The second that this rookie showed up, they were better, and they ended up winning a lot more games than they previously would, even though the numbers around Willis Reed and Wes Unseld, like Willis Reed by far had much better numbers than Wes Unseld. Now, this was in a league before they were able to calculate steals and blocks, but based off the numbers that we have, Willis Reed averaged 21 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 assists compared to Wes Unseld's 13 points, 18 total rebounds, and 2 assists as well. Willis Reed shot better from the field than Wes Unseld at 52%, and also shot better from the line. And he also had a much higher win shares number at 14.7 than Wes Unseld's 10.8. So there's not really much stats that could be derived from this, but judging off of the stats alone, it's really not difficult to tell that Willis Reed deserved the MVP over Wes Unseld. It was just the story behind it was just that we've never seen a rookie play this well and cause immediate impact to the team as much as Wes Unseld did. And that's sort of been the reasoning as to why he won the MVP. So that's going to be the only old one, simply because a lot of people might not be interested in that. So this is one that a lot of people might be interested in more. Allen Iverson winning the MVP over Shaq in 2001. Now this might ruffle some people's feathers because there's a lot of talk about Allen Iverson's 2001 season because he was this undersized guard who was carrying a team and was playing really well and was ridiculous at handling the ball and was really inspirational and influential to the NBA. And a lot of people hold his 2001 season with respect, when in reality, I think that the award should have been won by Shaq. And Shaq's advanced numbers, they destroy Allen Iverson's numbers, especially when you look at efficiency. And when you look at just overall production, Shaq averaged 28 points compared to Allen Iverson's 31, 12 rebounds compared to Iverson's 3, and 3 assists compared to Iverson's 4, along with 2 blocks, almost 3 blocks average compared to Iverson's 2 steals average. And the Sixers, they ended up winning a few more games than the Lakers because the Lakers ended up being second in their conference compared to the Sixers being first. But regardless, I think Shaq's numbers were just overall better than Allen Iverson's numbers, and overall Shaq's production was just that much better than Allen Iverson. And a lot of people, they really give Iverson that sort of credit because of the size. And a lot of people, they have a lot more respect from a player who can do all those things by himself. And they have much more respect for Iverson than they do for Shaq, because now it's sort of seen like Shaq was just this dominant player and he didn't really have that much skill on the basketball court. He was just dominant, and that doesn't really make any sense to me, because that's just taking away all that Shaq has accomplished as a player, and I don't agree with that whatsoever. And I think that Shaq should have been recognized for his talents a little bit more than Iverson, but that's just me. And next on this list, we have Steve Nash winning the award in 2006 over LeBron and Kobe Bryant. Now, I have two players on this list because, two players that I think should have won this award, because really it comes down to LeBron and Kobe at this time in 2006. And it's genuinely a toss-up because both of LeBron and Kobe's stats are eerily similar. And Kobe Bryant did end up playing in the tougher conference, and how even though LeBron, he led the Cleveland Cavaliers to a much better situation, actually making it to the playoffs, compared to where Kobe didn't really lead them to a high enough seed to even be considered to be the MVP. And when you look at the numbers just off of the numbers alone, it's really, this 2006 MVP from Steve Nash is arguably one of the most controversial MVPs in recent history, because again, a lot of these the raw numbers alone, it would indicate that Steve Nash doesn't really deserve it, and it's really, he got the MVP due to the team success of the Phoenix Suns at the time. Now, Steve Nash, he averaged 18 points, 10 assists on 50, 40, 90 shooting for the season. Very impressive. But when you look at Kobe Bryant's season, this was the season when he averaged 35 points per game, 5 rebounds, and almost 5 assists, along with 1 steal. And when you look at the raw numbers, it's how did Kobe not win the MVP? But then you look at LeBron's numbers, he averaged 31 points per game, obviously significantly less than Kobe, but he averaged 7 rebounds, 2 more than Kobe, and 6 assists, which is also 2 more than Kobe. And the efficiency numbers are eerily similar as well. So do you go with Kobe, who was just the better scorer, or do you give the slight edge to LeBron because of his all-around style of play? And that's why I say it's sort of a toss-up, because LeBron played in a much easier conference, so that should also be taken into account when you think about Kobe, because Kobe had to play in a much tougher conference in the Western Conference. So it's really a toss-up, and it really doesn't matter between the two. If you pick Kobe, then I respect you for that. If you pick LeBron, I respect you for that as well. It's really difficult to tell. Now, this one might actually be the most controversial one. Derrick Rose winning the award over LeBron James. This one is most likely going to ruffle the most feathers, because Derrick Rose is a huge fan favorite, especially in the Chicago area, and he was the youngest MVP ever in NBA history. So his MVP is really one of the ones that stands out. But reality is, the reason why Derrick Rose won this award was influenced by the fact that a lot of people were still pissed at LeBron for joining Miami. This was the year directly after LeBron made the decision, and therefore was a lot of hate coming from the media surrounding LeBron James with this move. But LeBron was still the best player and was still the most valuable player that anyone could ask for on any team. And when you look at the numbers, Rose averaged 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists. LeBron averaged 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. They both averaged a steal, and LeBron's efficiency stats were also better than Derrick Rose's, averaging 51% from the field compared to Derrick Rose's 44% from the field. And LeBron James did have a better team than Derrick Rose, which is why Derrick Rose sort of gets the nod. And the Bulls were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference at this time, where the Miami Heat were 2nd seed. But the revisionist history that Derrick Rose carried the Chicago Bulls this year, as I've said previously, is ludicrous. It is a ridiculous thought, and it didn't even happen. The Heat were 9.7 points better with LeBron James on the court compared to Derrick Rose and the Bulls, who were 2.6 points better with Rose off the court, or with Rose on the court, pardon me. And when you want to look at value, LeBron James definitely provided that kind of value for the Miami Heat, much more so than Derrick Rose did. And this last one might actually drive people a little bit in a different direction. So 2018, James Harden winning the award over LeBron James. Now, before I start, hear me out. I'm just going to say I am a huge LeBron fan. You guys know this. And this is obviously with a little bit of bias. I know this, and I know that this has some bias on it. So you don't really have to take it personally if you don't want to. With that being said, I'm going to also say that I think James Harden's brand of basketball is absolutely disgusting and shouldn't even be watched. And it somewhat has ruined this league now. From looking at a stats perspective, he deserved to win the MVP that year in 2018, but it's how he got his stats. The style of play that he is driving with all of the flopping and the ref baiting is just so gross to me that I just cannot allow him to win the MVP. And it's like all of his flopping and his ref baiting and all of this like trying to get a foul called type of basketball style is exactly why James Harden has been so productive for so many years. It's unimpressive to me, in my opinion, even if it is highly effective. Like, I see both aspects, but in terms of just a pure basketball standpoint, I just don't agree with someone who has to get to the line to get his points and produce the way he does to win the MVP. And it's not like LeBron James played really bad this season either. And if you saw what LeBron James did in the postseason in 2018, then you would agree with me. And the short answer is give me LeBron in 2018 over any basketball player in the NBA. That's really like how the argument for me comes down, because LeBron in 2018 was a completely different animal. And that's basically my opinions on it. And that's all I really had to say for this segment. And therefore, that's the end of the show. It's a little bit of a shorter segment than usual, but that's basically all that I've got for you. Be sure to tune in to the play-in games that are going to go down tonight, as well as the NBA playoffs that are going to be starting tomorrow as early as 1 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. As usual, please remember to use the link in the description or the link displayed below the ticker of every show segment to get your comments recognized. Once again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes the show much more interactive between myself and you guys. Once again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net. And that's basically it for the show. I am your host, Nelson. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.